Hey, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is the author, Andrew Snorton. You're joining me for the Fast 15. As we normally do on Wednesdays at about 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we take about 15 minutes to pause, check up, check in, enjoy an encouraging note from any of my books or audiobooks, as well as, oh, wait, this is the first Wednesday of the month. So the first Wednesday of the month, we do a selection from a guest author. And then we close out with updates, announcements, things along those lines. So I appreciate everybody for taking time out of their day to kind of just pause, slow things down. I know for me it's a good opportunity just to kind of be still for a couple of moments. So so what I'm going to do is I have originally gotten one of my books, but I'm going to move and we're going to grab something from the library. Okay, we're going to go to this one. All right, awesome. So before we get into a couple things, just a couple real quick announcements and reminders. Make sure to stay connected with me by adding me on Instagram at AuthorASnorton. When you click on the link in the bio, it'll take you to my Linktree, which is Linktr. Oh gosh, .ee. I had to pause there. tr.ee/AuthorASnorton. It's been a pretty long and active morning, guys, so thanks for bearing with me. So that way, when you click on the link in the bio, it'll go straight to my newsletter, which the new one just came out yesterday. All the social media handles, the website, the press and media area, upcoming events, info on the Author Andrew Snorton blend in collaboration with Fonte's Coffee, information on the archival editions of the Conversation Corner through the Status Network, as well as the current podcast, Lens to Pen. So I appreciate everybody for taking a moment to like, share, repost, and all that good stuff. So I'm going to enjoy a sip of green tea today, so give me just a moment. And before we go into the guest author selection, or just a book that I've read that's been influential to me and hopefully will be influential to you, a couple of, definitely the usual announcements. As we know, there's people that are going through some challenging times. In the last couple days, especially if you live in Metro Atlanta or the Southeast, there's been a lot happening. So anyone impacted by Hurricane Helene, we send words of encouragement, but we also hope that it helps bring about actions to get the process in place to get as restored as soon as possible and as fully as possible. We were very fortunate in Metro Atlanta. I'll be blunt, the area of Metro Atlanta that I'm in, we just experienced high winds, high rain, a few down tree limbs, but we know not just Metro Atlanta, but other parts of the Southeast where there was flooding, there was, loss of property, loss of power, unfortunately, loss of life, even damage going as far out as Augusta, Georgia, Columbia, South Carolina, the Asheville, North Carolina area. So we know that there's people out there that are hurting and doing without and making adjustments. So we want to send words of encouragement, but let's also see what actions we can do individually and collectively to help with the restoration process. People can get back on their feet and just be in a better space and place. Then on Sunday in Metro Atlanta, out in Conyers, Georgia, one of the chemical plants, I'll just say had a chemical incident where excessive chemicals, chlorine is the known, but there's a lot of unknowns, have been out in the atmosphere since Sunday. And it's not just concentrated to the eastern, not just concentrated to Rockdale County, which was on a stay in place. Then they took it off and then they put it back on. So that lets you know there's a lot of uncertainty going on with the aftermath of that particular issue. And I'll say the chemical debris hasn't just been limited to eastern Metro Atlanta. So, to everybody that's in the Metro Atlanta area, just be aware, do what you can to, be as efficient as possible when you do have to be out and about. Take the precautions that are known and try to seek out credible information for those unknowns. I know there's a lot going on as we enter the fourth quarter of the year. We know that there are still positive things going on, positive things taking place. We want to celebrate and elevate those things, and you should celebrate accordingly. So if you or somebody you know has had a positive, you pass that test. You are getting ready to make that trip. Things along those lines. Definitely take the time you need to celebrate. Do so constructively instead of destructively, and let's feed off of the positive experience that is going on. So in a moment, we're going to go ahead and pull the book from the day, and it's the first Wednesday of each month. I try to do a special selection, from another author, just a book and a segment that's very influential. So I'm going to get another sip of my tea. All right, so let's see what I can pull from. Okay, so the selection I'm going to pull from is from going a little bit back in the archives and old school, going to the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s Stride to Freedom. So Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s Stride to Freedom, definitely something that I would recommend that you take a look at, as this kind of looks at, some of his work specific to the Montgomery Bus Boycott. And of course, we know in any day and time, based on what's going on socially, economically, and politically, there's always something. And it always is a call for us to be alert, stay attention, get solid information, and be proactive and progressive in making sure that as many people as possible are put in as solid a position as possible. So during this campaign season and things along those lines, I want to read this when it comes to all the different groups and organizations that are doing things regarding, let's say, voting equity, voting access, because that's a hot topic. So let me read this selection, and then I'll just kind of give you a sense of how I'm seeing this particular one. So here it goes. The biggest job in getting any movement off the ground is to keep together the people who form it. This task requires more than a common aim. It demands a philosophy that wins and holds the people's allegiance. And it depends upon open channels of communication between the people and their leaders. All these elements were present in Montgomery. So this is an allusion to the Montgomery Bus Boycott, and definitely do your research. But part of what made that effective is not only just how long it lasted, of course, the economic impact, which forced the city of Montgomery to go ahead and make clear and definitive policy changes, but the fact that you're keeping people together, and you're keeping people together because of the nature of the cause, and especially if it's grounded in some form of social justice. And so looking to today's times, when you think about it's an election season, and some may or may not be aware of the issues regarding purging people from the polls. And in fact, there are some instances where technically people can go online and go ahead and get people kicked off the voting rolls. Now, it's one thing, if there's someone who does not qualify. I get all that. But I think the bigger issue is making sure, hey, look, we need to do what we can to maintain the integrity of the process. People who are eligible to vote should have fair and reasonable access to get registered. It's that simple. Folks who are registered, unless there's something real crazy that goes on, should be allowed the opportunity to register, and participate. People should have reasonable access, whether they do early voting, they do absentee ballot, they do it the traditional day of. And in the state of Georgia, there have been some question marks raised regarding some of the policies that are put in place where people across the board have, their access, denied. And we know disproportionately what that looks like. But in general, and this recalls a conversation I had last month with some colleagues in North Carolina. Who you vote for is your business. Okay, we know in theory you should do the research on someone's platform, voting records, decisions, and ask yourself, the decisions that are being made, are they trying to put as many as possible in the best position possible to basically have the most reasonable access to whatever resources, etc. possible? That's the theory. We know the reality is a little bit different, but that's the theory. Now, who you vote for, again, is your business, but maintaining integrity in the process. Are you eligible? If you meet the qualifications for being eligible, then you should be able to take that next step, which is register. Once you're registered, should you have reasonable opportunities to go ahead and cast your vote? And that's the biggest thing, ladies and gentlemen. So as a side note, make sure to check your respective state in regards to what those deadlines are, because a number of them are coming up like now. And make sure you check your status on a regular basis, but make sure you check the options that are available. And coming back to what was said in here, again, some of the key things: a philosophy that wins and holds the people's allegiance, and it depends upon open channels of communication between the people and their leaders. So having a dialogue, which is totally necessary and reasonable, is what we have to do. So this is taken from Strive to Freedom, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. It focuses on the Montgomery Bus Boycott. Definitely take a look, take some notes, things along those lines. So a couple of quick things as we get ready to wind down, and as I have to pause and pivot for another event or program. Upcoming events, really excited. October 26th from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. in Raleigh, North Carolina at Bo's Books and Brews. Join me for my upcoming authors talk. I'm so excited to have my colleague Jazzy B for real as the moderator. She's done some tremendous work with official events tied in with the BET Awards, the Super Bowl when it was in Las Vegas, the Alpha Derby weekend, Alphas of Atlanta. So she has an extensive track record of events and things along those lines in Charlotte, North Carolina, Atlanta, Georgia, Los Angeles, Las Vegas. So great to have her on board. We'll basically have all the books, information on all the audiobooks, and we will have coffee available through the AuthorASnorton blend in collaboration with Fonte's Coffee. And if you're in Louisville, Kentucky, man, you gotta check them out. They are racking up award after award, but it all starts with a tremendous leadership there and a tremendous staff, the tremendous everybody top to bottom. So I'm so grateful to be on board with our collaboration with Fonte's Coffee. So again, that'll be Raleigh, North Carolina, October 26th, 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. at Bo's Books and Brews. November 2nd from 12 to 3 p.m. in Morrow, Georgia. Join me at Nubian Bookstore. So if you're in South Metro Atlanta or the city or want to make a road trip, join me at Clayton County's only bookstore. So shouts to the owner, Marcus Williams, for always providing access to resources and opportunities for authors and more. So make sure to join me November 2nd, 12 to 3 p.m., Morrow, Georgia at Nubian Bookstore. We have some more announcements coming up as we have other events that are popping up in October, November, December for this fourth quarter. So make sure to stay alert, stay connected, all that type of thing. Of course, thanks to each and every one of you, every reader, every book club, every independent bookstore, every book festival, organization, what have you, that's been liking, sharing, reposting, sending words of motivation and encouragement. Of course, the support of all the books, all the audiobooks, and the coffee collaborations. So real excited with this being year 7 since I wrote my first book. So yeah. So February 2017 is when I made my debut, and seven years later, 4 books, 5 audiobooks, a coffee collab, but nicer than that, being able to connect with nice people like you. So as we get ready to close out, again, a reminder, AuthorASnorton on Instagram. Click on the link in the bio to that way go to my newsletter. So give the newsletter a read, share that info. All the social media handles, the info on the AuthorASnorton blend in collaboration with Fonte's Coffee, the collaborative podcast Lens Depends with the folks at Emery Rose Photography. So the episode 4 is already out, so make sure to check that out. Of course, the archival editions of the Conversation Corner on the Status Network. Trying to see anything else that is happening. If there is, I will post it and share it accordingly. So make sure to check that out. So, ladies and gentlemen, definitely extending words of encouragement to all in need. And as I get ready to go, even though I switched the order, you know what the intent is. Whether small or big, a victory is a victory. Whether slow or swift, movement is movement. Keep it victorious. Keep it moving. All of you take very good care. I'll see y'all real soon. Okay, peace.